37 weeks pregnant now. I started coming to kinesiology when I was 27 weeks pregnant. I was referred by my midwife because I showed up to her office with a drastic cold and in tears and no jacket and no groceries in the house, and she thought I was losing my mind. So she sent me to Erin, and she said that it would absolutely work. So I came, and I was having a lot of anxiety about my mother mostly because she was in town, and she stresses me out a lot. And so I'm pretty sure first we cleared through that, and I was able to handle my mother much better actually after that, even after just one session. And then we worked through friend issues. We worked through basically all the external things that were causing me anxiety. And I got some really good tools. Like I got physical tools that I could practice, and I also got just kind of mental tools that I could use. That well, what was impressive was I could actually walk out after even just one session and have things to do. And another thing that I really liked about it was the fact that every time was a new assessment. So like you never start with an assumption that you're going in for a certain thing, because she'll assess you in your body first and see what comes up for you that day. And sometimes, like today, you don't even know what's going to come up, but it comes up, and then you fix it. Physically, I feel very good. I feel like I just have normal things that typically you would have when you're 9 months pregnant and you're 5'2". Like sometimes it's hard to walk around in the heat, and it's hard to roll over because you feel like you have a bowling ball inside you. But otherwise, I have a ton of energy, and I'm extremely excited, and I feel good. I feel much better now than I did in my first and second trimester. Just the mental adjustment helped the physical, because you just feel lighter and like you can handle life, as opposed to feeling like you're drowning and overwhelmed. And like I was very concerned when I came in that I was hurting my baby with my stress levels. And so I think that, and then when you feel like you're so stressed out that you're hurting your baby with your stress levels, that makes you even more stressed out. So it was just a cycle of toxic cortisol and stress hormones, and and from what I've learned, you have to birth your baby using oxytocin, which is a happy hormone. So anything you can do to change your hormone levels is positive. Yes, and best part was that I could always come back here to get regrounded, because when you're pregnant, you have a lot of voices in the background. Like you have your childbirth education class, you have your midwife, you have your husband, you have your mother, you have your friends, you have your boss at work, you have people you don't know very well at work, you have people on the subway, and like everybody's telling you things. And so it's nice to kind of have a place where you can come back and sort of re-ground and recenter yourself, to sort of clear out all those other voices and just go back to knowing that it's really about you and your connection to your baby, because nobody else really talks about that. And I think it came up in one session where I realized that what was missing from the whole picture was just me relying on myself and not relying on the people around me, like the doula and the midwife and the husband and all that stuff. And it was just really about me, and like tapping into, basically my inner knowing. And there's really nowhere else you can go for that type of adjustment. Well, I've tried to explain this to friends and colleagues, because I think everyone should know about it, but they don't. And it's really hard to describe what it is, because it's such an experience, and you kind of have to go through it by yourself to know what it is. But all I can say is that whatever the problem is or isn't, you can tap into that in kinesiology, and you can figure out what's going on with you beneath the surface that you might not have even understood. And you can clear out the surface things too, but then also beneath the surface, and that it's not just one thing. There's there's so many different techniques that I've seen used. Like pretty much every time I come in, there's a different technique, and it's all just based on the assessment of me. And it's really personalized, and sometimes it's really uncanny, the things that come up. Like I was having trouble breathing, and then a respiratory thing came up, but not on purpose. It was, I can't even explain it. So it's seemingly random, but it's really not, and you just have to try it. Well, the cool thing is that every time I come in, I'm reminded that I should be bonding with my baby, and nobody else is telling me that. Like I said before, with all the different voices out there, nobody really bothers to mention that. But like, I got the idea to read to my baby, to talk to my baby, to sing to my baby, to like touch my baby in different places when I feel him kicking. That's been a really big element, because that also helps me feel much more positive when I strengthen the connection with my actual baby, not just with my pregnant self. That was really cool, because I think that the pelvic floor is a big mystery, especially if you've never had a baby and you don't know what it is or what it can do or what could possibly go wrong. And like childbirth education classes, they teach you about all the possible things that could go wrong. But so like, she does this rebalancing of the pelvic floor thing, and she talks to all the different muscles and bones. You know, even if it didn't actually work physically, it still gives you confidence, and so it's beneficial regardless of what you believe. Being pregnant and changing your whole life around can be stressful on you and your husband sometimes, and sometimes things come up in the relationship and get awkward and stressful or tense. But sometimes it's not always about your relationship. Sometimes it's just other things projecting themselves into that zone. And so one of the things that was cool that happened in clearing some of my other things that were coming up, like particularly from childhood, is that it was affecting my relationship with my husband too. And so focusing on that, even as a side note, really, really helped. And we've had no problems ever since, and just really getting along great and very happy and excited and very grateful, and just telling each other how lucky we are constantly. And I mean, I don't know if it's because of kinesiology, but it certainly didn't hurt, because just me being conscious of the clearing of that channel was very important, because I stopped thinking about it as an obstacle.